I'm John Van Alstyne. I'm CEO of ICAR, and thanks for joining us this morning. The main purpose today is just to give you an update of what's going on in the ICAR world since we last spoke, which was a couple months ago. So let me just jump right into the update here. First, we wanted to circle back to our COVID-19 industry relief program, which we rolled out in April timeframe. And I think it's important to just ground on some of the objectives that we had for this program and the various different components of it. Number one, we wanted to be there to support the industry and the customer pain, protect our employees, our staff members, all of our instructors, our assessors, and generally just demonstrate empathy during this time of crisis for everyone in our industry. I think as many of you may know, ICAR is a not-for-profit organization, and in fact, our IRS designation is a 501c6. And by virtue of that status, the 501c6 status, we were not eligible for any of the federal funding initiatives that were put out that helped industry quite broadly. 501c6s as a category did not qualify for any of the federal funding. So like the Paycheck Protection Program did not apply to ICAR. So we had to be careful to really understand our demand profile, what customers were doing, training, support requirements, and we generally strove to minimize layoffs and furloughs to the best of our ability. We're actually calling those folks back as we speak. Because of the uncertainty, we wanted to make sure that Gold Class renewal and Platinum renewals stayed on track. We wanted to achieve a minimum of 90%. Our target every year is 95%. And I'm happy to say that we're doing better than that so far. But I've got some data I'll share here in a minute. We also wanted to make sure that all those that count on our credentialing programs could continue to count on them and with high levels of integrity. And so OEMs and insurers that have requirements out there for our programs, we wanted to make sure we were in strong alignment, which I believe we are. And by virtue of some of the reductions and modifications to the programs that we had to make in 2020, we wanted to make sure that we came out of 2020 strong as an organization with the proper capacity aligned to demand and ready for the uptick for the step up in requirements for existing Gold Class and Platinum shops that had a transition program in place for 2020. So those requirements step up in 2021 to require Pro Level 2 and 5100 scaling across the organizations for credentialing renewal. So those were our key objectives. So I thought I'd give you a snapshot as to, so how are we doing? So the first thing I'd like to talk about is training. And there's kind of four key components to our program that we came out. Number one was what are we delivering? What's the impact on our training delivery? Then we had modifications to our requirements. We had some enhancements to our subscription programs. And then we had some free and discounted offerings. So really kind of four key components. But first to start is on training delivery. So online, as you know, we launched a complete update to our core online portfolio back in October. And so all those courses have been available throughout. Virtual, so that's instructor-led web-based training. That also has been not impacted, if you will, through this whole period. Our live classroom training, instructor-led classroom training, which is delivered through our fixed training sites across the country, and we have over 500 of those today. 4 of those courses were required for credentialing, and we converted those 4 into 4 live courses into a virtual format so that we could continue to deliver those. So that's worked out pretty well. We've had good response, I believe. And then on in-shop down in the bottom, we had expected to be shut down on in-shop through May, with perhaps the opportunity to start getting back in June, and then back to normal in the July timeframe. So I've got a little bit more about in-shop here. And so this is a diagram of the country. So in-shop training for ICAR is our in-shop skills-based training and our in-shop knowledge assessment activity. So that's welding, to MIG brazing, spot welding, those types of activities. So we were shut down into May timeframe, and you can see on this diagram looking across the United States that we have been able to get back in shop virtually across the U.S. We had to take a pause in California, so that's why the kind of the yield symbol in the California market. And if you see down at the bottom left, you see an X through the state of Hawaii, and so we've had to shut down recently in Hawaii. But in other areas across the country, we are delivering. We've had a number of events conducted. We are actually able to start back up in shop the latter part of May. And then that ramped up June, July, and August, where we were delivering on average about 400 events in each of those months. And looking into September, we're at about that same type of rate. And we have another 400 or so that are pending to be scheduled. So customer activity has been pretty strong. Our instructors have been confident. We've actually done some work to reconfigure how we actually conduct those events to favor COVID-19 safety protocols. So if you're expecting a visit from one of our in-shop instructors, just know that they have requirements that they follow, and it's to protect themselves, but also to protect your employees. So it's good news on the in-shop and as relates to delivery in general. Next, let me shift over to talking about the credentialing requirements. So because we were unable to deliver live to the level that we wanted to, we updated our credentialing for the balance of 2020. So any individual, platinum individual or gold class shop that had a renewal in the October through April timeframe, we established a completion date of July 31st. And so all those shops are now through that completion date. The May through September renewals have until the end of September to complete their requirements. And in both those cases, we deferred welding as a requirement to 2021 because we weren't confident of our ability. And then for Q4, platinums and or shops with renewals in October, November, December would be expected to achieve those renewals in the month that they're scheduled, and those would also include welding if required. So those were the changes to the credentialing that we made. I would say that all of our OEM and insurer partners supported those changes. And let me give you some stats as to how we're doing. So that group of gold class shops that had to renew at the end of April, we actually achieved 98% retention, which was huge. So congratulations to all those shops that got it done. Now we have the group that's May through September. You folks are going to be renewing at the end of September. So that's coming up in T-minus 2 weeks. To note, your welding is deferred to 2021. And then we have our shops in Q4. So some of these have already renewed, some are still working on it. These shops will require welding training and certification. So it's good that we're back up to business in that regard, and we're ready to support you. So let me talk a little bit about what we did with gold class subscriptions. So we had offered 3 months deferred billing or 1 month free to existing subscribers, and we offered a promotion of 3 months free with a 12-month subscription. So I'm pleased to announce that our subscription uptake increased pretty significantly. We went from 30% of shops being on subscription prior to the start of our COVID phase here to now we have, I think the number is 51% of shops on our subscription. And this quote that follows here, I think best kind of summarizes it. This is a gold class shop that we actually have the verbatim, but I guess we didn't have the authorization to show the actual video. But bottom line, lots of value in the subscription. Can't imagine doing training without it. So if you're not yet on subscription, we encourage you to get on. We do believe it's of value, and it just makes your interaction with ICAR all that easier, and provides great accessibility to our training programs. On the relief that we gave to our current subscribers, 96% took up our offer, again, which was 3 months deferred or a month free, kind of about a 50-50 split between the two. We actually had 4% of our population not take us up on the offer, and we appreciate those shops. We too had a tough time, and that helped us a little bit, so thank you for that. And then the last key component was discounted and or free content that we offered. So again, happy to report we had about 4,000 students complete just over 11,000 classes for free. So these were all online courses. You can imagine the math behind that. It's really about $500,000 of training. So congrats to those organizations and those students that were able to take advantage of that. During this time frame, we also provided access to the Repairability Technical Support Portal free. Typically, we would have a subscription for those that are not, platinum or gold class shops or sustaining partners to access RTS. So we waived that. During that time frame, 97,000 individuals accessed RTS, and that was well above our normal run rate. And actually, it was during a time when the industry was repairing fewer cars. So we're glad that we increased the exposure to all the tools and services that are behind the RTS website. And based on that uptick, we've also decided that we are going to actually extend access to the RTS website free through the end of 2020. So that will continue on. So a little bit of a transition here. So this is the change to our programming that will go into effect for 2021 renewals for platinum technicians and gold class shops that were on our transition program. So renewals this year are to the old 4-roll rep Pro Level 1 requirements. But in 2021, we step up to the 5100 and Pro Level 2 requirements. So 100% of structurals need to be trained, and 50% of the estimators, refinishers, and non-structurals need to be trained. So that's the 5100 and to Pro Level 2. We will also be implementing a requirement for the first 2 skills courses, that's MIG brazing and spot welding. So those are kind of the key highlights. So, when I talked about the COVID relief plan and the fact that we wanted to stay strong, keep our capacity in place, and be ready to go for 2021, this is why. So platinum and gold class folks on transition, it's time to get serious about 2021. Just a reminder. So interestingly, the notion of Pro Level 2 and 5100 is already in practice. It is a requirement for a new platinum or new gold class shop to achieve credentialing. And that took effect back in October. So what you see here is you see a scrolling list of all the shops that have achieved gold class since October of 2019. And this means they've achieved it at Pro Level 2 and 5100. And that list that you just saw scroll by includes 278 repair facilities. So my congratulations to each and every one. I wish we could have stopped on each name on the list and congratulated you, but we would have been here for 2 hours. So the good news is that Pro Level 2 and 5100 is being achieved even today. So I want to go back to the Even Better ICAR, which we launched in October of 2010. And, when you think about the Even Better iCar, there's kind of three ways to kind of think about it. There's our curriculum enhancements, there's the updates to our credentialing requirements, and there's new systems that support the execution of the whole program. And I would say that there's been also changes to our delivery approach to line up with the whole program. And as you know, we had some issues out of the gate, which we have those behind us. We completed, the issue resolution work at the end of April timeframe. But those issues kind of grouped into four categories. So I just want to give you a snapshot as to where we're at today, several months later. So first, with my iCar, and this is kind of the key connection point into our new LMS and CRM systems. This looks at our IT ticket counts, and you can see, back in the October timeframe, we took this big jump up from the orange line that we had been running pretty steady state. Boom, up we went with the launch of the program, and we stayed up there for several months, as you're aware. I'm pleased to report that that's come down basically to where we were pre-launch with the old system. So that's great. Tickets mean a customer's got a problem that needs support to resolve. Comes in through customer care and ends up with our IT group. And so we're trending down where we want to be. We do want to make some further improvements, which we think we'll get there through enhancements that we continue to deploy. On the curriculum side, so those issues were also put to bed back in April. We now have 70,000 users that are utilizing the new LMS system. And those 70,000 users have taken 524,000 courses. That's in the first 9 months of PDP. And if you reflect back to the 9 months prior under the old system, that equivalent course count was 290,000. So we know we have more courses, but it just goes to show that the users are effectively navigating the system and completing their training. On the customer service front, because we had that big spike, we had a big spike in customer care requests as well. So again, we had our steady state prior to the launch. So the inbound customer calls took that spike. It kind of came down, stayed steady, but now we're back down to where we were prior to launch. So that's good news too. And then lastly, we had some unique reports that different customers, OEMs and insurers and some MSOs utilize, and I'm pleased to report that those are all completed as well. We have some new reports that we continue to work on, but the ones that we had scheduled for launch are all done and operational now. So that's all good news. So while we got all that behind us, so some new courses that we've recently launched. There's actually 9 listed on here. And hopefully you've actually had access to some of these. The first one on the list is probably important, and you guys all know what's going on with electric vehicles and as well as hybrids. But this is about safety with high voltage. And so we would highly recommend that this course become required learning for your organizations. Secondly, we came out with the Ford Ranger overview. And a little bit of a deviation, we have several courses that are equipment specific, working with organizations like Chief, Carliner, GYS, ProSpot. These are sustaining partners that participate in our programs and quite popular in the marketplace type equipment. So we wanted to make sure you guys had the latest and greatest as to how to utilize and get the most out of this equipment. So some recent courses that have launched, and we have 3 that are actually in the kind of immediate pipeline. We have 2 General Motors courses that are scheduled to come out by the end of the year, as well as a Subaru and Toyota course. So, so these OEM type courses, these are out of our vehicle specific portfolio, and these are to complement our core foundational training to also give you the vehicle-specific experience as well. We also have a lot of work going on with electric vehicle and ADAS, and we've actually have put together a resource library, if you will, that covers all things ADAS. We wanted to make it easy for the industry to access all the latest and greatest content from ICAR on ADAS, and we have quite a bit here to help, all the way from courses to repairability technical support content, to reference materials, to webinars, to podcasts, thought-provoking articles and Collision Reporter. All of that is now available through our ADAS resource page. So you should probably take advantage of that. Since last time we talked, also I just wanted to remind you that we're pleased to have Jeff Peavy back in the ranks of ICAR. Jeff joined us a little bit over a month ago now, time flies, as our Vice President of Technical Products, Programs, and Services. So Jeff will be working on a lot of that content that I just scrolled through with you and with his team, and we're glad to have Jeff back in the ICAR family. The last topic that I wanted to touch on, I just wanted to hit on our board of directors. It's been a lot of work for us over the last couple of years, and we kind of had a big evolution of the board. You may recall we're going from our old structure, which called for 21 board seats, to our new structure, which is 13 board seats plus hybrids. The notion being smaller and more strategic. So we're on that journey. At our most recent board meeting, which was the third week of August, it was kind of the time for outgoing members to leave the board and for new members to join the board. But I want to thank our outgoing members, and we had a number of them: Mark Alge, John Donnelly, Richard Perry, Jim Roach, Roy Schnepper, Jeannie Silver, Randy Stabler, and Ron Vincenzi. So thanks to all of you for your support. Some of you had a little extra duty based on the governance work we did. And each of you have left your fingerprint on ICAR. And we thank you for that. These are our new board members that have come on. Dean Fisher with CarStar, Jen Boyer at Ford, Patrick Hart to the New York Automotive Diesel Institute, and Bill Shaw from PPG. Glad to have you folks. This is our executive committee. So Kyle Thompson's now the chair. Tim O'Day's our immediate past chair. Jim Guthrie's our vice chair. Mark Allen from Audi, treasurer, and Dan Friedman from Enterprise is secretary. So this is a smaller exec committee. In the past, we've had 7 reps. The new construct is 5. And this is the overall board. So we have 16 board members for 2021. So we're transitioning to that target of 13 plus hybrids. So glad to be working with all of you. And I think industry-wide, just know that our board represents the industry perspective every day. So look forward to good things. So that's really my update today. Kind of short and sweet. So I just want to thank the industry and I thank all of you who support ICAR. We appreciate that. I think we've tried to do the right things in 2020. We've stayed true to our cause, and I think we're seeing reasonable outcomes, and hopefully you are too as you work with ICAR. So thank you for your support. And the last slide here is a bit of a shout out and or question. So this is an opportunity, if you have a question you'd like to pose to me, I'd be happy to take that question, or if there's just a general shout out to call out somebody that's doing good in our industry or at ICAR, that would be great to hear too. So I'm going to flip out of these slides and I'm going to go to the kind of streaming activity here and see if we've got a question or two. And sure enough, we do have a question or two. So I'm going to read the question and then I'll answer it. Is ICAR doing anything to refine searching and shopping courses on the site? It can be a little tedious searching through the available courses. I hear you. In fact, I just had a session with our marketing team and they went through the updates that they're going to be making to the course catalog. With the focus we had on resolving some of our launch issues, we didn't quite get to the enhancements to the course catalog in the time frame we were looking to, but that is well underway, and that will soon be coming to all of you. Much easier to navigate and more information about the specific courses. So hopefully that'll help. Another question, are the new welder-specific classes required to be completed by the facility prior to the instructor arriving for a welding event? They are not required at this point, but that's a good question and perhaps a prompt for the future. Thank you. Okay, here's another question. How far out are the live classes staying virtual? Okay. Well, right now we're delivering our required live training virtually. So instructor-led, web-based, not in our fixed training sites. At this moment, we don't have a clear plan as to exactly how we're going to or when we're going to restart the live courses. A lot of those fixed training sites are schools, and schools have been a bit complicated, like many institutions, in terms of access to schools, safety, student safety versus adult safety, things of that nature. And so because of that big kind of impact, we're still at no live training. So we continue to monitor that, and we'll be giving updates as soon as we're able to. Okay. I got a shout out here from Darren B. Thank you for providing the continuing education services that you do. I guess that's a shout out to ICAR. So thank you, Darren. I appreciate that. Well, I'm going to sit here and pause for a few minutes. If there's anything on your mind, I'm happy to take any other questions. Well, I'm waiting for that. I expect that we'll probably be giving an update in the next couple months again, so please stay tuned for that. And I think at this point, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I think we're ready to wrap. So again, thanks for your support of ICAR. Know that we're strong, and we'll be emerging strong to support you folks going into 2021 and beyond. So that's it for today. Take care. Thank you. Bye.